Season 5 is about to get underway, and as always, we start in spring training, we start in March, and we start with the future of this franchise. As always, it's the top prospects video. What did you expect? What did you think was going to be different? I have a whole new team that we're going to love in the major leagues, but let's give some love to our minor leagues guys. We have a few top 100 prospects, including 3 in the top 10. Let's break them down. Starting at number 15 is going to be catcher Ralphie Velasquez. So, Rafi is going to be on the major league team this year. He will be our backup catcher. A tremendous fielder. We saved some money by getting rid of Willie McIver, who did a decent job as our backup catcher. Ralphie, when he's in there and Romo's in there, you're not losing too much defense. What Velasquez does bring that Romo doesn't is power, especially against lefties. And as a left-handed hitter, you don't often see the power, that kind of skill develop the way it has, but he's just mashing lefties in the minor leagues. He had a really, really, really good, 2025. 2026 and 2027 were a little lackluster, so we're hoping for a better season here, and it's time for him for a new challenge. At 22 years old, he'll be making the big league roster, barring anything catastrophic. David Howard is next on our list, and just like Velasquez, power against lefties is his greatest tool. He is an outfielder, plays left field primarily, can play the other outfield positions, and also first base, where he'll most likely get a decent amount of time, just because his fielding I don't think will ever be fantastic. He can hit the ball, he hits the cover off the ball, especially against lefties, tortures them. Power over contact guy, plate skills need some work, but does do well with runners on base. Again, fielding needs a good amount of work, but is also a surprisingly athletic, and at just 5'8", 178, you see that power. It's not, you don't get that power often in that frame. So an odd player, but a great player nonetheless. Draft pick from last year, DeAndre Hiller, I think our second round pick. A shortstop that can play second and third base. Kind of an all-around, well-rounded guy. He's probably going to start off in single A this year at 21 years old. Nothing with the plate jumps off the bat. Good size, 6'2", 213. Quick reaction, but nothing yet. He's one of those guys, again, baseline, everything is okay, and you can mold him kind of to the guy you want. The good part about that is you can develop a certain skill here or there, or he can just be well-rounded all the way, but also the chances of those guys really hitting are slimmer. He can steal a few bases, less on speed, but more on instincts and just reading pitchers. And he's a really smart kid, so I think those intangibles are going to carry him, and we'll see what skills he can develop as a ball player. Mark Winchester, a minor league free agent that was released, he can fucking hit, dude. Against lefties especially, he terrorizes left-handed pitching. Especially on that power side. He can hit against righties too. His bat's probably ready for the major leagues right now. Bad part is playing catcher. Fielding is not good at all. He's most likely a long-term first baseman / DH type. We're going to have him try to learn first base this year. Give him some innings out there. He'll catch, see if he can develop something. But even if the bat stays the way it is, that's a premier off-the-bench bat against lefties. That can play. He might not be an everyday guy, but he's definitely a guy that can make a contribution in the major leagues. Josh Rubel, our first guy outside of the major league contributor camp and into the potential major league starter camp. Rubel, power. Switch hitter, hits both sides pretty well power-wise. However, making contact's a whole different thing. Right now, where his plate skills are at and where his contacts are at and what his bat-to-ball skills are at, it's subpar. But that power plays, and when he does get a handle on the ball, it goes a long, long, long way. So, in that case, we're going to start him off in the lower minor leagues, maybe give him a full year even if he is killing it, just to see if we can get development there. Fielding-wise, is a good spot right now. Has a decently good arm and can block the plate, block pitches pretty well. But still needs some work. A raw guy out of Massachusetts. Shout out Massachusetts. So Rubel's the guy that we're going to have our eye on, and it's going to be coming in at number 11 on our Our number 10th ranked prospect, Andrew Montanez. Right-handed pitcher last year. Pitched well in Double-A. This year will also be in Double-A for us. Right now, no real, again, another well-rounded guy with no real skill that jumps off of the plate for us, but just an overall solid player, solid pitcher. Velocity is where he hangs his hat on, upper 90s in the four-seam department. Has a good slider, good curveball. Struggles with runners on base, but other than that, just an overall well-rounded pitcher. Another year or two in the minor leagues to season him up will be great. Roger Calderon, a guy that we ended up trading for. He will be our closer this year, or will be one of the top players for the closer role. Has not pitched in the big leagues before. Just doesn't allow base runners. He's not going to strike out a whole bunch of guys, but guys can barely touch his stuff. Four-seam cutter, slider, a perfect, reliever mix, especially from that left side. It's awesome. Controls a really good place. He blows the ball by guys. Keeps the walks down. Keeps hits off the board. Home runs, I think, is his one weak spot, and does well runners on. Exactly everything we wanted, and just a really good trade for both sides when it happened. I believe Oakland we got him from. So it just worked for us. We needed that closer. We needed a cheap one, and we did. We got one, and he's going to be really, really good. Alexis Marin is the guy that we love to see. Kind of that wildly effective pitcher, where the walks are, he gives up a decent amount. He can give up some hits, but he keeps the ball in the ballpark and he strikes dudes out. Filthy break, filthy velocity on a lot of his pitches. Control needs some work, but again, a left-handed pitcher that we think is going to have a really decent chance of being a really good piece for us, or in a piece to get someone in return for us. Again, we've talked about we have so many weapons in that rotation in the minor leagues. Once that big trade that we have yet to swing, but there will be a time when we're able to make one. We almost made one for Sean Murphy last season. And Marine's a guy who can definitely be part of that package, or just be with us and be very, very, very good. Chris Sutton, another one of our draft picks last year. Young, 18 years old, keeps the ball in the ballpark, does not give up a lot of home runs, good velocity, a solid 5-pitch mix, 2-seamer, 12-6 slider, changeup, sinker. Everything's moving, everything's working. This guy probably going to be in single A all year, or rookie ball all year, see how he does. But another guy with some good potential. It might be a little bit longer. 2030 is the ETA for him, so we might have to wait a little bit to see him really develop. But another piece that we just have stacked in our minor leagues. Bernardo Caruso, much like Sutton, in that same boat. Kind of no real defining defining skills just yet. Also doesn't allow home runs at a high rate. Walks are a little high for us. Again, he'll be one of those in the lower levels of the minors all season. See how he develops, and maybe Double-A next year, or in case we need pitching help if someone gets hurt, he'll be up there. But Bernardo Caruso and Christopher Sutton kind of feel them as 1A, 1B in this type of scenario. 18, 19 years old, good pitch mix, decent skills, but not quite there yet. Henry Manuel, our 5th-ranked prospect on our big board, and someone who is rounding out the MLB starter, what we attribute to them in the future. Really shot up our board and really was one of the better picks of last year, or 2 years ago's draft. So he doesn't allow many hits. He's not going to strike out a bunch of guys. Home runs could be a little bit of an issue. And the walks are, he keeps the walks at a good place. We can see a little bit of improvement there. But overall, very, very solid. And I think we'll keep him in the minors a year longer than maybe he might need. We just think that skill set will play in that way. Also, stamina isn't fantastic. He doesn't go super deep into the games. Used him a lot as a reliever last year, so we're trying to build him up for that as well. You know him, you love him. The new warming burnable, J.J. Rose, the guy who's in has been in basically every single prospect, preview of the season at very, very high. A guy we think is going to be a star. He's going to get every chance to be in the major leagues, whether in the rotation or in the bullpen this year. We love the strikeout potential with him. Keeps the ball out or in the ballpark, out of the stands. Can throw it quick. It breaks it. He does it all. He's a guy that we're really excited for and is on the precipice of being very, 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 very special. And we love what he can bring to the team. And again, we're giving him every shot to be in the rotation or the bullpen this year. David Moore, a guy that we got later in the draft and dominated rookie ball for whatever reason. Doesn't strike anyone out. You will not accuse him of being a strikeout artist. Only a 3-pitch mix, which that will change again. We love to get our starters at least 4 pitches. So when he gets to Double-A, or this year we'll start developing a 4th pitch. Not quite sure what it is going to be yet. Maybe a change, something off speed. Does have a 4-seam and a 2-seam fastball he throws with a 12-6. So maybe something like a changeup. Maybe something like a slider, something that moves laterally. But or horizontally. Yeah, horizontal and lateral are kind of the same thing, right? Yeah. So something that moves in whatever adjective you want to use. Just 18 years old, unpolished, 180 pounds. We can bulk him up a little bit too. But someone that we're very, very, very excited for in the future. Kind of reminds me of another guy, Rafael Parra, who's probably ready to go. But we're definitely going to put him in Double-A, Triple-A to start off things this year. Pitched very well the last couple of years in Double-A. Doesn't allow home runs. And we've been focusing on pitchers that have that skill because of the ballpark we play in, right? And sinker, heavy ground ball pitcher. And the one thing we love about him that I think we don't get from a lot of our other prospects, he does really well with runners on base. A lot of guys just don't have that quality, that skill. He does. His pitches break a good amount. He's able to be a workhorse. So Rafael Parra, a guy that we are looking at as he could be probably he could probably have the highest ceiling we have in all of the organization. Last but not least, James Morrow. You knew him as Jim. He's going by James this year. Doesn't walk guys, strikes a bunch of dudes out. What more do you want? That is the baseline of an ace potential player. Doesn't throw the ball the hardest, but everything moves with ferocity. And he's going to be in the major leagues to start off in spring training. He's also in that running to get a spot, whether in the rotation or the bullpen. If not, he's probably going to start up in Triple-A. We'll start off in Double-A. We always start our guys off in Double-A just to give them, just to have them see professional bats. But dominated rookie ball, struck everybody out, had a fantastic whip. He can get hit around a little bit if he gets into some jams, but you get him in a rhythm, it's game over. And that's going to do it for our top 15 prospects. Who do you think is the most overrated or underrated guy? Who's someone that you know is on the organization that's not on that list that deserves to be here? A Tyrone Gehringer type could be on table consideration. Khalil Watson, or maybe a Max Wagner who's on the list last year but not this year. Give us some names that you would think that should be on the list or shouldn't be on the list, and let's get into spring training. All right, we're 13 games through spring training, 4-9 record. We're going to run through and make our first set of roster cuts. Then after this 5-game stretch, we're going to make our second former roster cuts here on the 12th, and then we will make the rest of the cuts after the Brewers game on the 26th. Cody Freeman will be our first cut of the spring. We just know he's not going to get in 42 at-bats. A 190 average. I know Velasquez is struggling as well, but we really aren't going to use Freeman at all, so Velasquez can struggle all he wants. Hunter Goon will be our second guy. He was like our last guy we added the 40-man, so he's going to go down, and we're going to give these at-bats to Tommy Domine to see if we can get him going for the rest of the spring. That's going to do it for roster cuts. Outfield isn't too terribly deep, so I'm going to keep these guys around, and the pitchers have been doing very well, so we're not going to do any pitching cuts right now. So those are the first 2 cuts, only 2 cuts of the first wave. Sterling Thompson has fractured his shin as soon as we threw him in the lineup. Throw him on the injured list, but that's big for Thompson. So he'll start the season on the injured list. So that actually helps out guys like Wagner, guys like Guerrero, guys who are looking for that infield backup role. Okay, again, we are here at the second cut day. This is where the majority or a decent amount of cuts will happen. 6-12. Let's see who's not making the team this year. First two cuts are going to be Brandon Barrera and Chris McMahon. Not because they're playing poorly, because they're actually pitching quite well. It's because both of these guys have all their options. They were just added the 40-man this year. Obviously, these guys have way more say in what their destiny looks like than those guys, unfortunately. It just kind of is what it is, so these guys are going to go down. But I love that they've been pitching against Major League hitting, and they've been doing very well. Khalil Watson also won't make the cut. Again, Rafaela and Guerrero doing fantastic. We like them over Watson, especially due to versatility. Had a good year last year. Hopefully he can keep that up. Again, has many options left. So Khalil Watson will not be making the team, at least to start the year. Again, we're going to keep these three outfielders on just because no one's really impressed. So there's no real... we're going to keep on the bench. Not going to get many at-bats. Honestly, a decent chance that we just go the starting outfielders with Rafaela's outfield capabilities and Guerrero having outfield capabilities as well. We really don't need a true backup outfielder, so all three of those guys probably might be going down. Montgomery definitely has the biggest leg up just due to him playing last year and playing decently well last year enough in limited opportunities. But yeah, so those are the cuts so far through round 2. Let's finish up spring training and then go over some stats, go over the rest of the cuts, and then we're moving on to April pretty soon. That is it for spring training. 12-19 on the season. Again, we're not really worrying about that record. Let's check on some stats, see what we like, see what we don't like, and then make these final rosters cuts. I think we're at 34 on the roster. We need to cut 8 guys. So we'll see who those 8 guys will be. By OPS here we see Ceddanne Rafaela with a 1,000 OPS. He was great. A lot of extra base hits for him. 655 slugging. That's due to 3 home runs through 8 hits in his 29 at-bats. Mostly off the bench and a triple as well. So he made the most off of limited opportunities. Ezequiel Tovar hit very, very well as well. 4 home runs for him and a 922 OPS. Chisholm, Jones, Amador. This is the stuff that we're used to seeing, and we'd love to see. Juan Guerrero, Max Wagner did very, very, very well. Zach Veen did pretty good, especially for what he is, where he is right now. We'll take a 751 OPS. Romo, good considering his thing. Yanquiel and Kwan were disappointing. But Spring, these guys have earned their right, and Domine as well, a little disappointing. Velasquez, very disappointing, but again, we're kind of already decided that he's going to be taking on the backup catcher role almost no matter what here. None of the outfielders ended up swinging the bat particularly well. We'll see how it comes down to it. Montgomery is definitely going to be the only one that's really in consideration, but we'll kind of see where our roster's at once we start trimming it down. Pitching-wise, we sort by ER. Let's sort by FIP, right? FIP, especially in spring training, we're going to look on the FIP better. So, Riley Pint, 3 1/3 innings, had a 0 FIP. Can't get much better than that. Ryan Hilliard did really, really well, a 1.33 FIP. 14 strikeouts over 9 innings. Undraft signing last year, or this past offseason, he was awesome. Spear, Herget, Hardesty really well. Hardesty having a really good spring, really tapping into potentially being a guy that stays. Leonard, Calderon, we have a lot of really good pitching for us from this year. James Mora did fantastic. That's going to be a hard decision to make with him. Bobby White also good. Guys in the decent range: Barlow, Marco Garcia, Vinny Garcia, Bo Brisky, I guess, are decent. And these guys did not have a good spring. So let's make these tough roster cuts, and I'll show where we stand once we get there. not make the roster. The one thing about him is you have to pass him through waivers. I think we'll be able to, but Rock's time in Colorado coming to an end. Just got guys that are more talented than him. He's helped us out in previous seasons. Hasn't been too terrible, all things considered, but we just had our pitching's ready, and it's decent out of the bullpen last year for us in 47 innings through 43 appearances, but not good enough to get immunity here. Rose also going down. He had one of the higher FIPS, even a 3.86 ERA. Looks pretty decent. 6 walks in 16 innings, 0-4 record. We're just going to give him some seasoning in AAA probably to start the year. And so Rose won't make the team, despite me having still really, really high hopes for him. Justice will be going down as well. Also a guy we have to pass through waivers. Vinny Garcia also going to be cut here. Pitched well with us last year, but again, kind of had a spring. And again, I think I have an idea of what I want to do with this bullpen going forward and this bullpen this year. So we'll see who else doesn't make the cut here. Is going down, as well as Heriberto Hernandez is going down. Still trying to make a decision between Montgomery and anyone else I want on the bench. But really, you might be able to keep Montgomery. Maybe not. Yeah, we have to kind of see how much are still some pitchers I still have to make a decision on. So let me just see how many pitchers we'll have, and Montgomery would be probably the last position player cut if that's what it would be. Montgomery does not make the cut, but again, he's probably the first guy we bring up in case we do need some. So even though we only won't have a true backup outfielder, both Rafaela and Guerrero have the ability to play outfield and play the outfield pretty well, so we'll still be covered on that front. Ryan Hilliard won't make the cut. We're going with Hardesty. I think he can do very good out of the bullpen. I love what I've seen from him. And worst case scenario, if he starts sucking, we'll throw him down. But that's going to be the final roster. Let's go and just preview what the batting order and the pitching rotation is going to look like, and then we'll get out of here. Here's what the order is going to look like. It's going to be very similar, very uniform all the way throughout. Kwan, Amador at second, Jones at third, Chisholm in left, Yanquiel the DH, Tovar the shortstop, Domine the first baseman, Veen the right fielder, and Romo the catcher against righties. Change it a little bit. Tovar moves up to the number 2 spot. Domine moves up a few, and Chisholm moves down, and then Amador comes at 7th spot, with their bench being Rafaela, shortstop in the outfield. Guerrero, that is our super utility guy, can play every position but catcher. Wagner, third base. First base, this is probably going to be replaced by Sterling Thompson when he gets up, and Ralphie Velasquez doing the backup catching for us. The rotation is going to look like this. Luzardo, White, and James Mora is going to break camp as our third starter. Dollander and Bud Leonard are going to be behind them. Actually, I'm going to flip Bud and Dollander. We've seen some iffy things by Dollander, so we're going to put him in the 5th spot right now to begin the season. But this is going to be our lineup. Again, 4 drafted guys plus one of our stars. We got in free agency, who was our best pitcher last year. Our bullpen will look like this. Barlow, Pint, and Spear will be the guys we lean on a little more heavily. Garcia is going to start the year in the bullpen. Hardesty will start the year in the bullpen. Brisky and Herget as well make it. It's the Rule 5 on Brisky and Herget we signed for 1 year with 2.5, 1.7. And then Roger Calderon will be the closer to begin the year. And that will do it. Let us advance the regular season. And it's the Dodgers at home to begin our year. If you're excited, I'm excited. I am so astronomically fired up about this season. Something's different. Something's in the air. Again, these are where we rank on the unanimous GM reports. It's getting better. I think we outperformed our pitching. Hopefully we can do that again. Probably still expected to finish 5th, but who gives a fuck? I want to see what we do this season. I'm excited. Hope you're excited. See you next time. Opening day 2028 coming very soon.